All right, we don't need an intro because I got to be off in 25 minutes to go over to Vlad Elkins, the Elkins Accounting Hour. Tune in here in a little bit. Hi, Aaron. My question topic of thought is what would happen to the world economy if this fantasy scenario happened? So allow me to give you the setup. With all the red pill content now, every day I dream about what would happen if I had the power of Thanos to snap my fingers. It caused all men to stop giving women they're not married to their attention, money, and sex in that order. By attention, I mean romantic attention. Still be professional, courteous, helpful, be friendly in social groups, but no flirting in person or online. No likes or comments in social media. Unfollow, unsubscribe for women on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTubers can. OnlyFans only give romantic attention to their wives so women can only get it from their husbands. Two, which leads to not giving women money, donations, gifts, or paying their bills unless she's your wife. No hookers, escorts, sugar babies, massage parlors, etc. They'll have to get a real job with real useful skills. Three, which of course leads to no sexual activity of any kind unless she's your wife. Okay, sure, buddy. Whatever you say. And the men of the world would only agree to marriage if they changed the laws in the courts, the policies in the workplace, the policies of places of education, and portrayal of men in the media changed to be an actual good deal that's equal, if not better, to entice them back to marriage. My question is, what would happen to the world, or even just the West, if this happened? What would happen to the economy? I would like to ask Rolla what would happen to the world in a social dynamic. Well, I'll start with you for economic repercussions. Cheers, fan I am. All right, so let's go back, kind of take them one by one here. You are removing all these things that are from women that you are not married to: attention, money, and sex in that order. Okay. If you remove the attention, I hate to sound so dark. I don't today. I think that'd be welcomed by women because the vast majority of men they don't find attractive. Therefore, any interaction or attention you give them is unwanted or they at least don't like it. And I don't know how many, behind the scene interviews or confessions, the webcam girls or the OnlyFan girls, they hate their pay piggies. They hate their simps. Um, Now we'll leave money out of it. We'll leave money out of it. So they would probably be okay with that. Now, a lot of them would have to. You're overnight. You're essentially paying for female beauty, whether that's sex, money, resources, whatever. Overnight, all the social media stuff would go away. OnlyFans would go away. That wouldn't exist. You would still have social media. People would still be social over the digital stuff. But I don't know. A real good question would be: would women still post pictures of themselves on Instagram to get attention? If they knew they weren't going to get any attention, they might. They might still do that to get attention from their friends. But I think it would be 85-90% of the instances women would be okay if men didn't talk to them. Because you're thinking like, well, what if the top 10%? Oh, that's different. They'd be upset about that. But in general, if men just stop paying them attention on the internet and they only saved attention romantically for the wives, there's the two distinct, it would split. The market would split. The women who wanted to get married would be like, oh, dang, I got to do something nice and be wife material, which I would say is about 10 to 15% max. And the rest of the majority of the women would be okay with it. They would just get on with their lives and they wouldn't be bothered. I hate to sound so dour, but my data, that's what it tells me. Two, which leads to not giving women money, donations, gifts, or paying their bills unless she's your wife. No hookers, escorts, sugar babies, massage parlors said they'd have to get a real job with real useful skills. I don't think there'd be that much of a change in the employment of women. Yes, your sugar industry, for lack of a better word, would go belly up and disappear. But I think women would then disseminate into the traditional fields that they've been, just teachers and social workers in nursing, medical fields, certainly that, and a small minority would, of course, go into STEM and accounting. But all you did, I mean, let's go back 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, just to be safe. What were women doing back then without internet, social media, PayPal, or OnlyFans, and seeking arrangement? What were they doing before it? They were, doing their jobs like they were. So I think you would just you'd see a allocation of female labor similar to what you saw in, say, 2005. It would be, and in fields that we traditionally expect women to go into. Um, there a lot of gals. Now, keep in mind that the digital economy. Obviously, the world's oldest profession existed before that. But I don't know what percent of women were in the carnal arts, the compensated carnal arts. I don't imagine it would be that big. I guess we can look it up. Worldwide, an estimate of 40 to 42 million. Okay, there's 4 billion women. 3, 4,000, 1, 2, 3, 4,000,000, 1, 2, 3, 4,000,000,000. Oops, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. All right, so 40, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, divided by 4 billion for 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 equals 1%. So only 1% of the female population engaged in the oldest profession. They would merely go and get regular jobs. I don't think it would be that ground shaking to the labor economy. 3, which of course leads to no sexual activity of any kind unless she's your wife. Dude, even the married women don't want to have sex. The what was it? A one ninth to 1/16th? I'd have to look up the numbers in the book of numbers again. Uh, you're you're like you're threatening your children, like, if you don't behave, we're not going to go to church. They're like, okay, I'm going to say it again. Most women are perfectly all right not having sex with the majority of men. Well, I know for a fact the majority of men, but even their own husbands, even their own long-term partners. Um, so no sex. Tried to think, what is it something that men get too much of? If you threaten to, it's like women threatening to nag you less. What would happen if women as a community decide to stop nagging men? Like, oh no, that'll teach them. No, they're not that. Yeah, women like sex not as much as men, and they're only interested in sex with the men that they're physically attracted to, which because of biology and I'd say more modernly a little bit choosy choice. You got to be top 10%, dude. A top 10%. Even if we were to be literal using scientific data, it would be the 20% that whatever that polling on the dating app showed. But okay, no sexual activity unless you're married. I you Here's what it is. Here's what you ever see that old 1910s picture, I think it was, of the prudes, the prudish women dressing up, and they're all old and ugly, and the sign says, "Men's lips who touch booze shall not touch ours." And like, there's not one single hot chick in the group. That's the equivalent to this. You say, "We'll leave you women alone and stop harassing you and stop asking you for sex." They're saying, "Thank God." Sure, there's a 10% maybe of the population of women. If you're the right guy, I mean, if it depends on the guy. If you look like a young Tom Selleck, then every woman will be like, oh, wait. But if you're the average looking dude, you watch out. We'll give you an out of school suspension if you misbehave more, as opposed to an in school suspension. And the men of the world only agree to marriage if they change the laws in the courts, the policies, workplace policies, education. My question is, what would happen to the world, or even just the West, if this happened? What would happen to the economy? Well, the population would drastically start to shrink. It would rapidly shrink, because if you're only going to give sex to your wives and only the wives are going to, and the women are going to want to get married, okay, yeah, you're talking 10%. Um, and that's it. Now, maybe there'd be a lot more births per marriage, but the marriage rate would tank even quicker than it is now. Um, yeah, that's there'd be a lot less marriage. Um, you'd still interact with them, and they become like dudes, they become like dudes. And then there'd be 10% of the female population that would want to get married and have kids and would then end up having sex. And with such a small percentage of women having sex, your birth rates would go to nothing. Your economy would shrink, but so would your population. So your GDP per capita, in theory, wouldn't change. Um, you'd have to finance the Social Security fund because it's dependent on future payers to pay for current receivers. That throw a little bit of a loop, but yeah, guys, if you don't believe me, go get the book of Numbers, analyzing the ROI in the pursuit of women. They're just not that interested. They're not. And all you're saying is like, we'll leave you alone. Most girls, I would say, are okay with that. The majority of them in the West, anyway. This presupposes they can have their own jobs and their own career, et cetera, like that. If you're in a subsistence economy or second or third world economy where women depend on men, they'd be a little bit different. They're like, whoa, wait, I want men. But if women could support themselves and they have the insurance of a welfare state behind them, have you not noticed? But very interesting. I help Myron with this, but go read Myron's latest book or his first book, "Why Women Deserve Less." Of course, it's a agitating or sensational title, but we went through like all the different studies and research to try to put a numerical number on. Like, man, girls really don't like guys that much. Even slightly more newer data than what I got on the Book of Numbers. And just read through, you're like, yeah, they just they're I keep saying it, they're not if they were as interested in you, they would be calling, they would be asking you out, they would be getting the six-figure salary, they'd be paying for your OnlyFans, right? There'd be just as many guys like, look at the empirical data before you. You better be careful, otherwise I'll force you to eat your ice cream before dinner. So that'd be my predictions. I'm kind of curious what Rolo would think would happen. But I think that's what I think would happen. They'd be like, thank God, some peace and quiet. And I don't have to suck that ugly looking neck gizzard. Or turkey neck, rather. David Jones, $5. If I had a wife that was great other than no sex and she didn't cheat, I'd be fine with that. I'd cheat, but I'd be okay with that. High-end rendezvous. Okay, one, we're already talking La La Land, and two, that's okay. In that La La Land scenario, here's your La La Land solution. But see, already, and here's what would end up if you mythically could get all men to form this cartel and adhere to the rules. That's what would happen. But dude, every guy, because they're sex drive, would be stepping out and breaking the rule. They'd be breaking the law. They'd be going and banging a bunch of girls. They would. You're a good-looking Chad. A bunch of girls are throwing themselves at you. Of course, you're going to go bang them. If anything, it would skew it even more than the current dating market is already. All right, there you go. See you guys later. Toodles.